Look, it's a flood.
The flood.
It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
You're on Facebook and you open something and then you like accidentally back and then refresh all the way top of your news feed and you can't fucking find the thing that you were going to read or comment on to begin with.
Yeah, no, I totally agree because listen, we got the endless scroll, right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand why with the possibility to endlessly scroll down my timeline for fucking eons, you would put it in auto refresh. That just because I decided to click on a post that seems interesting. You would think the whole point of an endless scroll is to find endless amounts of interesting posts that you might have missed out on.
Nope.
You know what makes that super fucking hard? When you shoot me all the way back up to the fucking top, right? And that refresh, oh my god, dude, that refresh, that shit is brutal, yo, because it could be like fucking almost like a week's worth of shit.
Yeah.
It's that you're never gonna find it again.
Nope.
You're never gonna find that post again.
Nope.
It's gone,
You don't
lost
have to,
in
like,
the
go
ether.
search the group and
The
then scroll
amount
through.
of posts you'd have to scroll through are
Is
just rising up and crashing through with another telegraphed intro. This is Doc
And Ziggy.
with the flood. That's right, your favorite weekly pop culture digest, bringing you that pop perspective
To put the culture in context,
and make the mainstream make sense.
because if we do not make sense, we
then
don't
what
make
happens?
sense.
Holla! And look, you know, this may be a mild hobby for me and Zig, but everybody aspires to make a little bit of passive income, and you know what? You can help us do that by following us at the Flood Pod on everything,
And that is on everything.
including Patreon if you're feeling giddy. Like, let's go for it. This week, we got lots of hits to talk to y'all about. But speaking of hits, Zig, you want to tell them what's been smashing the Billboard charts this week?
Yeah, so this week's hit on the algorithm is Dance the Night Away by Dua Lipa.
Hey, listen, a cut from the Barbie movie soundtrack, right? And Dua Lipa just continues to be breathing life into that new disco movement, don't
Love
she?
it. You know,
God
one of my
damn,
favorite
I
genres
mean,
of music is disco rock.
She definitely stepped all over that shit. Put her foot all in that bitch with her bad self. I mean, look, I'm here for it. That Barbie, that Barbie trailer though? That Barbie trailer though.
We'll get into that in a second. So you told me to go back 40 years for the top hits from today in 1973.
So not quite disco time. It was a little bit, like, I feel like that was right around when disco got started, but
So
not quite the powerhouse that it grew to be though.
at number 5, you have Paul McCartney and Wings with My Love. At number 4, Marvin Gaye with Let's Get It On.
Hey, okay.
Roberta Flack with Killing Me Softly with his song.
Listen, classics. All these is classics so
Jim
far.
Croce with Bad Bad Leroy Brown.
What did I say? What did I say?
And Tony Orlando and Dawn with Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree.
Listen, come on, man. All them joints. 1973 was a fire year for music, is what it sounds like, son.
I mean, isn't it Let's Get It On from Marvin Gaye's like best album?
Yeah.
Which is considered the greatest album of all time?
It is. Listen. So what I'm saying is 1973 is that's a hard year to compete with. But you know, Dua Lipa might have a few of them.
Oh man, it's so catchy.
So
Like it actually, like when we played it before, I actually was just like started dancing. It's got me moving.
he was caught in the spirit.
I got caught up in the moment. That Dua Lipa song is from the upcoming Barbie movie.
Yeah. So as we mentioned, the top. What was that? Number one. It was the number
It is
one.
number one on today's top hits Spotify playlist.
So as we mentioned earlier, the number one song on today's Spotify playlist is the Dua Lipa Dance the Night from the Barbie album soundtrack. And, right in time for the release of that Barbie trailer, the Barbie movie trailer. And, let me tell you, I was not expecting this movie to be so meta.
Neither was I.
There
However,
was nothing leading up to that showing, the costume design and like some of the set builds and like some of the little clips and stuff that had been released before, right?
Seeing
were expecting
the casting, I'm just like, oh, of course that's Barbie and Ken.
Yeah, it felt almost like a live action like Lego movie or like something like that's what we were getting.
But
ready
Margot
to get.
Robbie is Barbie and Ryan Gosling is Ken. I'm like, oh, of course. Who the fuck else is gonna play those two?
Dancing to the Dua Lipa song, right? And then Barbie goes, "Have you guys ever thought about death? You're dying." That's when I was like, "Whoa, okay, hold on."
Yeah.
Where are we going here?
Yeah,
I'm gonna buckle up now because that was wild.
That was dark. Like, I was not expecting that.
No. Right, like today is perfect, every day is perfect. Like that's what made me feel like the Lego movie. Everything is awesome.
Yeah. And Lego movies are great.
No, it is. I feel like this movie has definitely got the potential to be a sleeper hit. Right, but after all this time, if they were gonna make a live action Barbie movie, like you would think like.
All right, I gotta think. I want to propose that there is a new genre of animated movies.
Live action animated movie.
No.
Like the Looney Tunes Lost in New York or whatever the fuck it was.
Basically, like movies that are presented to be for kids, but actually are like universal appeal because of them being meta.
Oh, so like how they used to be.
Yeah, but I mean like Mario movie, the
But Barbie movie's not animated.
Okay, fine. All right, Mario movie, Wreck-It Ralph. God, I had a couple other on top of my head. Fuck. God damn it. But yeah, like the Mario movie. Wreck-It Ralph.
I still haven't seen the Mario movie yet. I'm waiting for it to come out on streaming. Speaking of...
For free. Free streaming.
For free.
Quote, unquote, free streaming.
Speaking of free on streaming, Ant-Man and Quantumania dropped on Disney Plus just recently.
Watched it.
And the memes that are coming out of it are, let me tell you, A1. Just peak Jonathan Majors in the multiverse memes. All kinds of Kang variant. Just I'm it's almost enough to make me watch it. Almost. Not quite, because I'm busy doing, hustle culture things, like reading and not being toxic online, telling everybody else their lifestyles don't matter if they're not making money off of it in some kind of way.
Well, that was dark. Let me bring it on an upside note. Hey, Doc, guess what? Guess what? This is really good news. I have a championship ring to give out.
With 3 in the bottom of 9th inning to become the world champions yet again.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible! Got a really big team, and they need some really big rings. They need some really nice things. Better be coming with no strings. Better.
Oh shit! Who's getting a championship ring this week?
Me!
Oh.
I'm giving myself a championship ring.
Are we now? Are we now? Do
Because
we have to hold court for this?
We should be allowed to celebrate our personal achievements regardless of what they seem like to other people, and I'll tell you what, I'm giving myself a championship ring because
true.
I passed Spanish.
Congratulations, my
Third try.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here to celebrate all, the wins for the homie. That's a big move for you. You can finally take that weight off your shoulders.
Now I just have one more semester of Spanish.
I was gonna say,
They
knowing
need
it's
a
over.
3-semester requirement. I didn't know this when I enrolled in UMBC, and it's brutal. Like, it's single-handedly the only reason that I don't have my degree already.
Is that for a language course?
I'm gonna graduate with 127 credits.
Well, let me tell you, I think I know a solution that might help you pass this next semester of Spanish. Ace in the hole with no problems at all, except for maybe, you know, a few possible lingering side effects later on down the line, because this is kind of like a still new burgeoning and like developing technology. What I'm actually saying is Neuralink has been approved for human trials according to the FDA, and one victory lap loving motherfucker named Elon Musk, because Elon definitely needs a victory lap right now. So
Neuralink?
yeah, his brain chip company.
Oh man, what was the name of the Sword Art Online one? Nerve Gear.
So Neuralink is finally done abusing monkeys and chimps with their technology, and has sufficiently proven that it won't kill you upon installation. So I guess it's okay to test in certain people, and Elon Musk is reminding everybody that
So we're going from last week, where we have real life chimeras and human transmutation,
yes,
to we now have cyborgs.
yeah. Also, a South Korean company put out a statement earlier this week that said that they predict they will be able to grow babies in a lab by 2028. So I'm just saying, like, you know, there's no reason.
So like the Matrix.
Oh, there's no reason all of these things are lining up at the same time. That would be tinfoil hat talk, okay? And this is not tinfoil hat hour, all right? Don't put them away. Put them away. We're not here yet. This is real big boy science here, and big boy science, big brain leader Elon Musk says that with this, we will be able to control things like obesity. Restore people's vision, help with mobility, that part is actually cool, right? Like, you know, for paraplegics and quadriplegics, because this announcement is also following an announcement from a Swedish chip implant company. Which is not the most intelligent way to have said that, right? But another Swedish company working on similar technology put out a statement announcing that a client of theirs who they have been doing human trials on was able to walk again just by thinking about it, as previously had not been able to without their implant, right? So Elon's not lying when he says this capability, we have reached the capability for this kind of technology to exist.
Just putting a lot of faith in Elon.
Somebody who can't even run a social media site that was already set up to run at least haphazardly, right? Like, now it's not even running haphazardly.
Twitter was the Wild West. Now, Twitter is Apocalypse Now. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say it's Fallujah. Like, it's disgusting what Elon has done, simply just by firing people and pretending like he's the smartest guy in the room. And we all know what
Twitter's
happens.
user interface now is a nightmare.
Oh my god. So much so that he botched Ron DeSantis' most important night of his life. Which I just feel like is tastefully ironic for the guy who's created an environment in Florida that has made the NAACP put out a statement advising a travel ban for persons of color. Just to put that in perspective for the guy who's now announcing that he wants to make America Florida. Because, you know, Ron doesn't get irony at all.
Make America Florida?
Listen, it's such beautiful poetic justice that this whole announcement was the absolute shit show that it was, and I know we're like, you know, 3 weeks out from it by the time that this drops, right? But just
we want to make sure that y'all remember how dumb this was,
because Ron is dumb. Ron is dumb. he's getting away with like strong arming Florida because the people in Florida don't fucking know any better, because like education has always been kind of like suppressed down there. No offense, Florida, it's not y'all fault. It's people like Ron DeSantis' fault. And I mean, I guess the people who like continue to vote people like him in for their fucked up policies, like, isn't Rick Scott, the former governor of Florida, being like, or wasn't he just like investigated for doing like a huge Medicaid fraud thing, and like he's not being prosecuted for that shit at all? So this is Ron just following the trend of being a shitty like Florida public representative,
like Trump, who's registered in Florida actually.
And I think it's just so fitting that, because like his market, his like demographics, not even like Twitterverse people. Like, people on Twitter love Trump, right? Like, they're already set up for their guy, but he thought he was gonna come in and be cool, just like he thought he was doing when he bought his high school students beer and partied with them, because, like, you know, let's not forget.
And he's trying to save the environment by eating pudding with no plastic spoon.
Who Ron DeSantis is. Let's not forget that this is the guy who's so uncool that he got demoted from host of his own Twitter space, right? And some people will say it's because of the technical issues that they were having, right? But I just think it's ironic that he wasn't even a host of his own announcement party. And every single like promo that's come out of this has been like dick fluting Elon Musk the entire time. So much so that you would think maybe Elon Musk was gonna be like Ron DeSantis' running mate. Which I don't want to have said too many times, because I don't want to actually speak that into existence, because the last election cycle was already dumb.
Can he run?
Elon? I don't know.
Can he be a vice president?
Probably not. Thank God. But stranger things have happened. Stranger
Things is on production delay because of the writer's strike. You know what else is on production delay that we didn't talk about last week?
The Twitter Spaces, because it was a terrible, terrible run.
You're right, but I was going to say Daredevil, because the New York City Teamsters have joined in solidarity with the writers, and they are striking alongside with the writers.
The Actors Guild is pretty set to go on strike as well over this AI bullshit, because nobody's fucking around with this AI bullshit, right? Like, it's already getting...
It just seems like the entire entertainment industry is...
Yeah, pretty much in solidarity, like, this shit needs to be stopped.
Studio heads and you corporate suits.
Not even just that, dude. Like, rappers and producers are lining up in ways to try and form, like, copywriting of like their image and likeness, so that, you know, people can't just make AI songs. Like, the dude who did the fucking like Drake Weekend thing is like going on like a fucking rampage, making like all kinds of like, you know, Drake music and stuff like that, and a whole wave of copycats have been emboldened, right? And they're like doing this whole like tongue-in-cheek kind of like subversive thing where they're like, what's the difference, right? Like, especially when it comes to rap music. I sent you that article this week. I can't remember if it was from like a Rolling Stone writer or whatever, but it was very just like pretentious. It was like the genre that was popularized by stealing from other genres is now being stolen from with AI, and he thinks it's just so like fitting and ironic, right, that rappers are complaining about that when they get by sampling other artists, and doesn't seem to understand the difference in like actually taking a sample and remixing it to make other art, and like AI. Like, I don't understand. It's
weird that people are talking about Allen Iverson so much.
So that's the only thing you have to add to the AI discussion in art? Like, because I mean, yeah, I guess you're of the stance that, yeah, no, it's crazy. But do you think...
I'm a creative. How do you think I feel about it?
You're also somebody who has been quoted saying great artists steal, right?
This is true. How do I feel about this?
Yeah. Do you think AI art is still art, or do you think that it is a cheap knockoff?
This is a cop-out, but I think it looks cool, but I definitely know that it's AI art.
Right. I mean, because all it is, computer-generated image borrowing from actual art taken by real people, right?
You said it before, it feels soulless, and I'm like, yeah, this is soulless.
Yeah.
Looks cool, but it's soulless.
Yeah, no, and I just feel like we keep proving, like...
Like, honestly, I could see artists taking AI art and then putting a soul in them by, like, using the AI art almost as a base.
Like a ghostwriter?
Imagine somebody taking a bunch of AI art pieces, cutting them out, and making a collage of AI art.
Oh, you mean like an actual art piece? Because I thought... Like,
created...
Yeah, but like, what
with
about...
the foundation
what
of
about
AI
when
art
it
and
comes
then put into
to
a human
music,
aspect?
though? What about when it comes to music, though? Because we already had things like the FM Mika thing pop up, and Japan and South Korea have been doing their virtual avatar pop icons for a while now, right? And like the gorillas, right? Or what happens when
the gorillas are all, it's like, that's all real music written and performed by Dave
Okay, yeah, but what happens when somebody comes up with like the AI version of the gorillas, right? And it's just AI composed and AI written. Do we let that slide?
Not Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett.
But what if it's just as good because everybody thinks this Weeknd and Drake AI thing is just as good, right? And we could throw in like the Tupac shit, like all of the new verses and the new mix classics that popped up after Tupac died. Like, I mean, they've kind of set us up for that for a long time.
New Mix Classics Volume 2, that shit was a banger.
And the whole fucking Resurrection soundtrack. I mean, it got so bad that Jada had to say, I did real songs with Big, no made up shits. Like,
picture me rolling.
Come on, man. So that's where we're at now, right? Like, if you want to do a song with DMX, you can still do a song with DMX. All you got to do is hit up fucking Benny the Butcher and get the feature, right?
Or Lil Boosie. Or Conway. Apparently they got all of Griselda, and they were just like, fuck it, let's get the problematic rappers while we're at it.
You can do all that shit now. You can get an ODB blast. Like, come on. Like,
all you need is $46,000, and you can get a non-AI verse from Benny the Butcher.
And $46,000 in Chat GPT, and you might be able to get you a mean little mix, right?
Or a great second apology letter, Jawwick.
You could get a fucking Kurt Cobain hook. Right? Like, how y'all gonna feel? See, how y'all gonna feel when they fucking pull Kurt Cobain out the casket?
So
right?
we actually had this discussion years and years and years ago in the gaming community when they brought out Guitar Hero 5. And you know how they would have, like, you know, you would unlock rock stars and everything?
Yeah.
Well, you could unlock Kurt Cobain, and a whole bunch of people felt some kind of way about that. They were like,
Kurt wouldn't have wanted this.
He's like, he wouldn't have wanted this, and this motherfucker's dead. Like, this is the first time you put a dead person in this game.
And actually, how do we know Kurt wouldn't have wanted that? Maybe that would have been like the one thing Kurt was okay with, right? Was like, well, I do like video games. You know? And like, yeah, but like they didn't have Jimi in there. You couldn't unlock Jimi Hendrix. Like, who's to say Jimi Hendrix would have been okay with that shit?
Well, if I remember, the type of people you were able to unlock would be like 80s, 90s, 2000s legends. So it was like Cobain, Billy Corgan, Tom Morello. Like, I think you could get like Joan Jett.
To my point though, dude, like, I feel like this AI thing needs to be reined in. Like, it's even gone wild. Of course it's gone wild, like, as we've discussed in the past.
says it on every episode.
Yeah.
This is the worst this technology will ever be.
Yeah, and like, he covers the deep fake porn a lot, right? And
we covered that story about a movie. They were like, oh, nobody current seems like a good fit, so we're going to make an AI deepfake version of James Dean.
Yeah, I thought it was Marlon Brando, but no, you're right, it was James Dean, right? And like, that's what it's so lazy. That's the thing too, like, it's lazy That's why it has no soul, because it's literally computer generated like imagery. I don't care how good CGI looks when you go see the movie in theaters. It's only like 2 years from now where you're like, oh man, look at those fucking like leaves in the trees, man.
Now,
They are
here's where
so
I can see
jank.
AI being useful for artists. Writing prompts.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, I
It
have
has-
this idea, write 2 paragraphs, and then that sparks the artist, that sparks the writer to write.
it is a tool that has
like
its
I said,
purpose, but
A graphic artist who wants to make something out of a compilation of AI art.
it is a tool that has its purpose, but it is clear that it needs to be regulated, and it needs to be regulated now because it is a fucking menace.
How would you
It is
feel
a
about
menace.
an AI 3D printed banana duct taped to a wall?
One of those video picture frame things with like a banana video, a banana
No,
gif?
no. It is a banana created by an AI that then uses that to run it through a 3D printer.
So do you mean like a fucking NFT or like a
physical
3D?
banana.
Oh, you did say run it through a 3D printer. Okay, yeah, all right. It took me a minute to register that because I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So like
You want to get super
3D
meta, you can
printed
even make
banana.
The 3D printing material out of like banana sausage.
See, I think the fact that you 3D printed the banana, if I'm gonna entertain this, makes that banana more of an art piece than the actual banana duct tape to the wall. But to bring
I
it back home
agree,
to the original discussion, I do feel like the AI generated, like, of the way it has infiltrated like the art space, it definitely calls for the kind of strike that the Writers Guild has put forward, and it is just unfortunate that we will once again be reliant on reality TV in the meantime while we wait for Hollywood to get its shit together, because they are currently losing somewhere around like fucking what is it, like 300 million a day. And I feel like that's even lowballing it, especially once the Actors Guild, if the Actors Guild goes on strike,
Well, the actors,
because they
it's the
haven't.
directors and then the actors. I think the directors.
No, other way around. The Actors Guild is up for their discussions now, and the Directors Guild is coming up after that.
All within a 12-month span, for sure. I
And
think it's even less than that.
The Actors Guild, I believe, has officially been given the green light to strike if their demands are not met, right? Which is just going to increase the number of revenue
And of course,
being lost
these
by
union
California.
heads are all talking with each other.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because the discussion that's being had benefits everybody, right? Because they are trying to use AI to undercut creatives by suggesting that
The Screen Actors
there's
Guild, the Directors Union, and the Writers Guild of America, all of them have a smaller piece of the pie than the studios.
and
So
the
they
owners
should
and the
work
investors,
together.
right? And
Because no matter what, like even at the best collective bargaining agreement, they're not going to beat the studios a percentage based off of initial investment.
And in general, right? Like, I hate to get like super like existential with this, but like, this is literally a war between like human potential and creativity, and like the breach between like where technology overlaps us, right? Because they are using the advancements in AI to try and prove that computers can be creative and do what humans do.
They're trying to turn directors and writers and actors into self-checkout counters.
I mean, essentially, they're trying to, they're... And it's so weird because it's like, you wouldn't think that this would be the first place that
It's really easy to look like you're scanning a barcode at a self-checkout counter. Which should already show you there's loopholes in this whole system that Hollywood is thinking with the AI model being able to replace everyone.
You wouldn't think that the creative industry and the creative fields would be the first place that automation would be like tried and tested out, but you know, with the advancements of like Chat GPT and like these deep fake technologies, the AI auto art and stuff like that, it's emboldened the studios and the investors to feel like they have a bargaining chip now, right? And they're really going to be made to test out the capabilities of these kinds of technologies against real human ingenuity and real human genuine expression, right? Because what they are saying is your expression is it can be simplified to ones and zeros.
It's binary for everybody.
It's computer language. Your expression can be mimicked and done by a computer, because there is a decent amount of people out there that believe we live in a simulation.
Truman Show.
I'm not going to say that those two things correlate or have anything to do with each other, what I am saying is that rich people think that human expression can be automated.
So I want to say something about the whole simulation and string theory arguments that everybody always just pushes.
And nothing about rich people thinking that human expression can be automated.
Well, I mean, storm the Bastille, eat the rich, whatever.
Okay, it's such an oversimplification, but go for it. Go on your ramble, King.
Yeah, the really annoying thing about all these like string theory and simulation and alternate parallel universe arguments, what are you gonna say after that? You're like, I guess. Like, it's one of those, technically, you're not wrong. I don't know if
they could be technically wrong, right? But the issue is you don't have...
You're not equipped to disprove it. Like,
No. So those kinds of arguments are always a bit of a setup, right?
They're very frustrating.
What else is very frustrating is trying to pretend like trying to argue with the people who cut your checks that you're worth something, right? Like, and you're worth maybe a little bit more than they're suggesting that you might be worth, even if they have the ability to try and do what you do using computer technology. Fucking Jeff Bezos, fucking Elon Musk, fucking like all the Hollywood studios. Like, fuck off, rich people, goddamn. Like, and it's
the other thing
I keep trying to remind people that this is literally what's happening right now, because there is a whole labor movement brewing in the background, and this Writers Guild writers strike thing is just another example of that.
So the other interesting thing I tapped on earlier about like an artist using AI art to create something new is, with the further enhancements of technology, the borders of human creativity have always expanded as a result. Every single like major technological advancement, including AI, came as a result of human ingenuity of what was already established, then pushing the boundaries.
Right. I'm not arguing against that. Right?
So
I don't think that's what the argument for against AI is. But go ahead.
But even in a world of AI, artists can still thrive by even expanding on what AI has. Like,
yeah, the capabilities that AI allows for, right? And I know that what is happening right now is creatives are trying to push back and make sure that they are not being undercut by AI.
So if I like put in an art prompt for something and it spat out an image, I'm probably not going to look at it and be like, yeah, that's literally exactly what I envisioned.
But if, like, let's say you're a porn star who has tons of pictures, or not even just a porn star, you're a regular ass celebrity or internet influencer that has tons of media and open source material available of you on the internet, and your image is then corrupted and used to produce material that has nothing to do with you, has not been cleared by you, and you do not profit or benefit from in any way, shape, or form, and could in fact potentially harm your brand and defame you, then you would want to be able to control anybody's ability to produce that sort of material, right? Because like deepfake porn isn't just made of porn stars who you want to see do more freakier shit, right? It's made of celebrities like Emma Watson and Billie Eilish
Except for Lockhart.
and influencers like Pokimane and Addison Rae, right? Like people who don't consent to this, right? And there are lots of legal professionals now who are trying to get deep fake porn put in, you know, just already understood legal parameters like harassment and like stalking, right? Because
like the fappening.
Currently there is no like legislation in lots of places against like deep fake porn, right? Like it doesn't even fit revenge porn in a lot of states, like legal categories. So this AI thing goes much further than just funny songs that irritate Drake, right? Or
so I'm gonna say
pictures of kids with too many fingers.
We're both right. AI is scary, just like all the shit you said.
I don't think it's scary. It just needs to
inspire at the same time.
I think what it inspires is more scary than AI itself, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have instances where now, like even on the opposite end of the spectrum, teachers are so afraid of their kids using ChatGPT to write essays and stuff that they're running speeches through AI generators.
I had to deal with that this semester.
And they're finding that like AI will take credit for like fucking anything, including like war and peace. So yeah, we really need to like rein back in. It's one of those things like
I've heard this story actually, and students would be emailing saying, "No, look, I have Google Edit timestamps."
Yeah.
I had an issue with pretty much exactly this. This last semester, because I didn't have something, because I turned it in on my phone, and any college student knows the Blackboard app, if they're familiar, is what's the word? Shitty. So I turned this thing in on my phone.
Buggy, like lots of technology, kind of like maybe like a Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, and it had to be turned in by 4:30. So, you know, I had it done. I turned it in at like 4:15, something like that.
Yeah, 15 minutes to spare.
And I go in, and then I see that the grade got marked as 0. My professor, I emailed it, and I'm like, no, look, I submitted this. And he's like, well, I don't see it. I'm like, I can send you screenshots with my Google Edit timestamp history.
Right. Saying
that I had it done. And eventually he was like, I'll give you until 12 o'clock. And I'm like, okay.
Not you making him sound like fucking like Snipe.
No, I'm sorry. I'll give you until 11:59. And I'm like, great. It's 5:30. I'll turn it in 2 minutes. I got a confirmation email at 5:32.
That's what I would have sent him in the first place, not the Google Doc certificates, but the fucking like confirmation email. That
I didn't get a confirmation email when I submitted it on my phone.
Well.
Because also a lot of professors don't realize that there actually are a not small percentage of college students that do all of their work on their phone.
Just like a lot of these studios don't realize that the writers are not a small percentage of the product that they make lots of fucking money on. And they need their cut, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of this shit don't happen without the writers.
This is some Oliver Twist shit. Please, sir,
no.
I have some more?
And abso-fucking-lutely, dude. And what they don't tell you about that time, which, led to the fucking labor movement, right, is that they got to dynamiting things a lot back then. And I'm, hi, Ted. I'm not saying that we need to get to dynamiting things. I'm just saying it's unfortunate that people don't listen until you get to Dynamite and things.
I still love that the Nobel Prize is named after the person who created Dynamite.
Cause
It's just great. I love that.
right, and he did lots of stuff, but nobody listened until he made Dynamite. So, I'm not saying bring back Dynamite, but what I'm saying is rest
Can we
in
bring
peace.
back Dynamite? Do a Lipa struggle.
Let's say Jimmy Walker, rest in peace, Jimmy Walker. Nah, man. This writer's strike is just another example that the AI thing is getting out of hand. That the labor movement really needs to be recognized for what it is, because the wages are stagnant, rent is too damn high, and the human cost is going to be too much to bear. It's even too much to bear for the reality TV circuit, who, you know, has to bear a lot of the weight burden from these writer strikes.
Too hot to handle. 2 Electric Boogaloo in Cancun.
We'll talk more about that after this break. And we're back. Welcome back.
Give me fire, give me that 100. Ooh, yes.
Wow, and Zig is really hyped to talk about Vanderpump Rules. Let's talk about our favorite reality TV. Have you watched any good reality TV lately?
No.
It doesn't matter, because you know what people have been watching? That fucking Vanderpump Rules season finale. Let me tell you, with 3 days after it airing on Peacock, it coming in at 4.1 million streams.
I just want to point out that
Running up the numbers.
with the exception of like the past 2 weeks, which I could talk about things that I've watched, all I've watched is One Piece. I'm current on One Piece.
Current on One Piece. Congratulations
It is
for
an
being
achievement.
current on One Piece. But today we are talking Vanderpump Rules, because
So,
this
can you tell me a
season
little
finale.
bit about Vanderpump Rules then?
No, I'm not telling you a little bit about Vanderpump Rules, but what I will tell you about is this fucking cheating scandal that was going on, right?
So the actual show is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the cheating scandal.
I'm not gonna say that the show is irrelevant, but what I'm saying is the reason we're talking about it today is because it all culminated in the reveal of Tom cheating on his girlfriend, right? After an entire decade of being together, right? On this show
Oof.
with her best friend.
Oof. Man, this sounds like it was written by AI.
Yes. So there's like talks of like Emmy awards and things like that, right? And Lisa Vanderpump and Alex Baskins were, you know, have been campaigning for an Emmy, but they claim
Best what? Writing?
they feel conflicted because this isn't a scripted television show. These are quote unquote real people's lives here. Real people have been affected by the outcome of this cheating scandal.
Real
right?
people in a generation that have been conditioned to what happens on reality TV, so they know that they're not actually being a legitimate version of themselves when they appear on these shows.
Whatever you want to call legitimate, that relationship has been going on for 10 years. It's at a decade, right? Or at least close to a decade. And
How much trash reality TV do you think they watched together in this decade?
a lot, man. I mean, it's 2023, right? So 2013, like, you know, that's...
So I wrote something down.
I was gonna say that's peak Jersey Shore, but that's not even like peak Jersey Shore, right? But
Yeah, Jersey Shore was burning out at that time.
Yeah, but we still had like...
There was still some GTL around.
Yeah, I feel like there were still some reality TV
For
shows that I'm
Zoomers,
like...
GTL means gym, tan, laundry.
I feel like they know what it means. I feel like Zoomers know exactly what the fuck.
I don't know, there were Zoomers that didn't know where the term stan came from.
That's a little bit older than Jersey Shore, dog, and like you have to come to terms with that.
Not that much older. but
Yeah,
you're right.
no, like 6 years older.
Yeah. But I mean, such a cultural touchstone in a common term, you would think.
Not even. It didn't even really become like a common term till like Eminem stan meme culture took over on the internet, right? And at that point, the term just became ubiquitous with somebody who fanboyed too hard.
I was friends with a dude in high school who tried to dye his hair with hydrogen peroxide in the sink.
Came out looking more like Guy Fieri.
It just didn't work.
Listen. So these numbers can't be ignored, though. 4.1 million in 3 days of airing. That's, you only see those kinds of numbers on YouTube.
I mean, I'll say, like, the
right
other
now,
big reality TV moment that I thought of that, like, everybody fucking knew about, because this was also this was at, like, the height of this franchise.
When Wee Man got drunk and peed in the corner on the scooter?
No, I was going to say Survivor.
No. Oh, okay.
When Mike burned his hands.
You don't remember Surreal Life when Wee Man got drunk and sleep rolled around on his motorized scooter and peed in the corner butt ass naked? Dog,
No.
Listen. Trash TV, despite it being a product of scabbery.
But I mean, do you remember that from like season 3 of Survivor? When Mike burned his hands trying to kill the boar. Yeah, because he was legit like hunting.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just saying it's not more.
I remember at that camp, they were like, "Holy shit!"
I would argue that is less of a cultural cornerstone than fucking pumpkin spitting in New York's face.
I agree. But I will say, as far as like a moment where you're like, holy shit, this is like real, was when Mike burned his hands for me.
That's fair. I mean,
because he was well on his way to win. And then he had to get taken out because he legit got third-degree burns all over his hands.
Yeah. It's like that dude on Naked and Afraid that got taken out because he what was it, like refused to eat or some shit like that? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, Naked and Afraid is another reality TV show that I'm like, I can't believe this exists. Speaking of reality TV shows that I can't believe exist, a UK TV station, Channel 4, aired a recent episode of their show Open House, The Great Sex Experiment, in which they get a bunch of contestants together and have them test their relationships by living openly in luxury environments where they are, kind of pushed to be sexually experimentative and strengthen their bonds, right?
You can watch it on Brazzers Premium.
The show aired, which is in its second series, aired an episode just recently where one of the couples was hosting a 15-person orgy during the episode.
BBC TV.
Shanice and Ricardo, who have been together for 8 years, invited the other contestants back to their room for an after party. And during that after party, the situation turned steamy. House guests started undressing. Sexual acts were performed.
P. Diddy showed up.
Viewers were left stunned by the racy TV moments, many taking to Twitter to express their outrage, people saying things like, oh my god, a 15-person orgy. I'm too British to have an orgy. What do you do? What do you talk about? Is it okay to laugh a lot? Is it okay to break and make a sandwich? Because, the internet. Right?
If you ask George Costanza, the answer is yes.
So somebody else was like, what I'm mad about is these people have kids and their kids are going to see this shit. And I feel like, who are you to assume that everybody in this orgy had kids? I don't watch the show, so maybe they had kids. This is what happens when you don't pay writers, right? Not to say that the Icon doesn't exist. Because we should probably talk about The Icon, the newest show from The Weeknd and the guy who made Euphoria, and everybody's saying it's just like a torture porn fantasy.
Sounds like something that would come from the maker of Euphoria and The Weeknd.
Yeah, it's just a misogynistic jerkfest, apparently, according to people who've seen it.
Strip club.
and it's probably gonna be the entire talk of the summer, but it hasn't dropped yet. It just has been specially screened at like Sundance or some shit like that.
I love that everybody is arguing about Game of the Year between Spider-Man, Tears of the Kingdom, and another game coming out later this year. And like somebody was like, which one's the Game of the Year? I commented, maybe we wait until all 3 games come out. And somebody was like, no. So I just responded by saying, well, I tried.
Channel
The answer
4
is Tears of Kingdom, by the way.
Channel 4 tried. They tried to be risque and edgy and push the limits of what was acceptable on TV. And I don't know the details of what time this was aired. I'm sure it wasn't during the day or like after the kiddies got out of school, right? But it does feel a little wild. It doesn't seem like we're that far off from it being brought over to TLC and it being the next big reality. I mean, we already have like 90 Day Fiance and shit like that, right? Like, and Hulu just did a whole thing where they went around and
Hulu has the Kardashians.
Hulu just did a miniseries where they went around and filmed different parents and their parenting styles for like I don't know if it was like a year or a couple of months or whatever, to see what parenting style worked best for the children. So it just doesn't seem like we're too far off, especially like with AI, because I mean, if you ask an AI to write a reality TV series, it doesn't sound far off from what this is.
Well, with the whole camera documentary thing, it depends on how long of a period that it actually was taken over, because at a certain point, the camera just becomes something that the subject adjusts to, typically.
Are you asking how long you have to wait into an orgy for you to forget about the camera?
No.
Oh, because
it's not a bad thing to.
I'm of the mindset that like you just try and like forget that it's there immediately, right? Like,
but I mean, even we're talking about like these, potential reality shows and things like that just seem like ridiculous, like even parenting styles type of thing. That's the type of thing where you would have to, get 10 times the amount of footage for every one frame that you use. Like, you know what I mean?
Are we of the orgy?
No, of the like interacting with parents and their parenting styles, because you're gonna need to get a point where they forget, quote unquote, that the camera is there and they're just doing their raw parenting style.
He said raw. How much footage do you think gets left on the cutting room floor of an orgy?
Probably a lot, because I imagine they just have cameras posted at different angles.
Of this orgy, though, like, because this isn't even like a Brazzers production, remember? This is like a British television show. And they were like, yeah, fuck it. So it's like one of those old HBO. That's what I want. Like, I don't understand why we're in the day and age of streaming and we don't have more things like HBO's Real Sex or like Penthouse or like Taxi Cab Confessions and shit. Why do we not have an Uber Confessions? Netflix, you just rolled out your whole like password sharing like thing.
I got a warning, and I've had Zach's Netflix for years.
You know what would make everybody forget about that? If you did a reboot of Taxi Cab Confessions, but with Uber. Uber Cab Confessions? Well, come on. That shit would be fire, dog. Oh, man. I don't understand why that's... I guess it can't be a YouTube series because you can't even, like, say, like...
I could just start recording random thoughts I have while door dashing.
Queer on... Dude, I don't know why. Yeah, I guess you don't Uber, right? You DoorDash, so your experiences wouldn't be quite the same.
I could judge people based off of what they order.
Apparently, Cash Cab is super faked. Like,
I'm not surprised.
Not that the question there are faked, but people aren't surprised by like going on Cash Cab. Like, you kind of have to like sign up for it, and they're like, all right, we'll meet you at this location, and they say it's for a different thing, but like you get the idea.
Yeah,
right. Like, you're in New York, and they're giving you a free cab ride.
Sweet, free cab ride. Oh, game show lights.
Oh
no.
I had no idea.
Grant's just so convenient. I've been reading up on Eastern European film cinema for the past 50 years.
Yeah, just like Lisa Vanderpump being like, I had no idea that, there was a human. It's like, she's not saying she had no idea. There was a human cost to filming reality TV.
Of course
and
there is.
People getting their
All
hearts
watched
broken.
Tiger King.
Live on TV for everybody to see.
Somebody just getting their arm ripped off. And then them being like, cool, stop the bleeding, I'll get back to work.
It just, I don't know, dude, like, it all feels, when you look at the reality TV wave from the first writer's strike, right? We got things like Cops, we got Survivor, right?
And then that reality TV spawned parodies like Reno 911.
Or just like the more goofier ones, like For the Love of, or Flavor of Love, and Rock of Love,
and Brett Michaels.
90 Day Fiance,
Brett Michaels.
And it all culminated in fucking Honey Boo Boo and Dance Moms and shit like that,
Teen
right?
Moms.
Teen Mom, and it's like, so we got to a point where it felt like reality TV was aspiring kids to like aim low.
Well, I mean,
right?
also John and Kate plus 8 became tabloid fodder.
Yeah, not just kids, right? People aim low. Like, it really felt like it took a
You
hit.
remember the whole thing, John and Kate plus 8, and then John was found with like hookers and blow, and
Yeah, dog, it was a whole thing. And then Octomom had a porno.
oh
So,
right, yeah.
like, I can tell you what else is awful is the influence that being an influencer has on people, right? The reality TV wave, I feel like, opened up, it kicked in the doors for the influencer wave. It really did, right? Like, watching those nut jobs on Jersey Shore cook off, right, made you feel like, hey, yo, if they can do that, all I gotta do is get drunk and go to the gym, and I can have my own reality show. As somebody who considers himself a content creator or a creative in general, right, the influencer wave has gotten a little out of hand, right? It has made it so that you are perceived, if you are seen as creating content for like the internet space, you are looked at as one of these quote-unquote influencers, right?
Really?
Who
I almost feel like we're anti-influencers.
I think that is like, the hopeful vision you have in your head of the kind of media that we produce. But the idea of a podcast is kind of inherently that of an influencer.
I mean,
We're trying to influence people to listen to
There
us.
is the paradox of a documentary. A documentary is trying to present truth, but the truth presented is at the director's discretion. So they have hundreds of hours of film and they chop it up into an hour and a half, presented the way that they choose to present it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole issue here, right, with influencers and the effect that social media has had on people's perception of reality. To the point where even after I thought we had all grown past the, prank epidemic that was that era on YouTube where the social experiments and prank wars. Look, we all enjoy a good prank from time to time, but it got out of hand, right? Like
that YouTube was like, oh, this is great. They're causing this person suffering.
Right, to the point where influencers and content creators were absolutely just faking pranks, like hiring actors,
Going into the
writing
Japanese
scripts.
death forest and desecrating everything.
And or doing the opposite extreme and like absolutely bothering people to the point where it becomes offensive, or faking murdering your friend, right, to traumatize your other friend, but then lying to everybody about it actually being like faked, or not being fake, excuse me, but it being like realistic that somebody was crying, like everybody was in on the prank. Then you had the one girl who shot her boyfriend at like fucking point blank range with the Desert Eagle because all in the name of, like, you know, for the views, bro. Well,
You need to put a cheat code in to get the fucking Desert Eagle.
we're back at it again. TikToker prankster Mizzy in the UK has recently been arrested for a series of pranks, one of which involved just a outright breaking and entering, right? Like,
Oh, breaking and entering, you say?
this man just walked up into a random person's house and was like, you know, let's go. He's seen going through the front door.
So not a school.
Left the door open. The woman on the patio outside the home. One's inside the home. He sits down on the sofa, and when he's finally asked to leave, he starts going, "Oh, isn't this where like the study hall is? I thought there was like a study hall here." Mizzy has been kicked out of several other different places for similar stunts in the past, and it just really feels like I thought we left this kind of thing behind, man. Like, no, obviously not though, right?
Well,
like,
all right, let's
the
think for a
brain
second.
worms continue to infest, like,
Let's think
the
for a
minds
second
of the
about
youth.
like the quote-unquote internet challenge. Went from like the ice bucket challenge to the cinnamon challenge to the milk crate challenge, where people are outright doing serious bodily harm to each other.
I was gonna say, it's not even like a clever prank, right? Like, that's the issue with these kinds of pranksters, right? Like, it's too hard to come up with a creative and clever and witty prank. It's much easier to do something that's just so absurd and outright shocking that people have no choice but to react and look at it like a fucking car crash they're watching in front of their eyes, right? Like,
I mean,
you
like-
watch this dude stroll up and just walk into this lady's house, right? Like, completely unchecked. And you're baffled. You're like, bro, do you not know what's gonna happen to
I
you?
mean, I think like a funny prank is to like be in a crowded area and then just start like eating ice cream out of a mayonnaise jar or drink Powerade out of a Windex bottle. I think that shit would be funny to watch people react to you around that.
Mizzy has been quoted saying that he doesn't really care what people think or how offended they get. He sees it all as good publicity, and quoted in fact saying that it's wild how I've gotten that mainstream in response to some of the comments and backlash that he's been getting, right? So he sees this all as a net win for him, and it's unfortunate to even be kind of talking about it, because the more we talk about it, the more it just promotes this mindset where fuck that shit, make noise, right? Like, also just promotes the idea that TikTok is part of the problem, and maybe we should rein in people's access to it, because there's even like a whole spectrum of people now who think part of what China is doing with TikTok is a psyop and promoting this kind of like harmful content in a way to like break down the American psyche.
Why do we need to kill them? We'll get them to kill themselves.
Yeah, like literally, right? And it's gotten to the point now where states are trying to take matters into their own hands, right? It's gotten to the point now where people are trying to take matters into their own hands, and so much so to the
I
point
think we
where
said that Montana banned TikTok outright, and then Utah is putting a social media like government license attachment and making clearance for minors to use it.
and at now we have another contender to throw into the race, right? A bunch of states attorneys generals have gotten together, including representatives from Prince George's County, and they're taking some of these social media firms to task in a public lawsuit that would see these social media companies sued, arguing that they are contributing to the youth mental health crisis and should be accountable.
Do you think this might end in the type of class action lawsuit that Facebook had? Which I totally signed that fucking thing.
This, to me, is, unfortunately, this argument, here's where I have to push back. After being in total agreement with, like, Mizzy and those kinds of pranks being too far and that kind of shit needing to be left in the past, like, I thought we had evolved as far as, like, our internet memery was concerned, I have to push back on these kinds of lawsuits, right? Because it feels very reminiscent of video games promote violence.
Yeah,
Right.
You're right.
rap music promotes, and we are having this discussion again too. Like, this discussion is, I've been seeing crop up a lot too, like the effect of hip-hop culture on the black community, right? And like, is it time to admit that hip-hop culture is a little bit toxic, right? And it all boils down to, once again, is the media reflective of the culture, or is the culture reflective of the media? I don't think that it's a nothing burger, right? Like, I do think that there is something to the effect of social media on people's mental health.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it is due to the kind of unrestricted nature to which we have been introduced to social media, right? Like, it has been designed to be addicting, right? Yeah. And we are now aware of that, right? And we are now retrospectively looking at the effects of social media being engineered in the way that it has been engineered, right? But I don't think that the idea of social media in itself is by nature harmful, right? I think what is harmful is the way that we have developed to use social media, right? But I think if we continue to become more self-aware and more responsible with our social media use and our screen time and things like that, right? Like, I think we will see that these things have less of an effect on people's mental states than what we are seeing now, right? But I also don't think that what we are seeing now should be ignored, because it is a perfect reason as to why social media literacy should be right in there with media literacy. Dude, do I think this lawsuit is necessary? Only if so to make these companies understand that they cannot continue to design these apps in a way that resembles a fucking casino, right? Like, the endless scroll feature, like we were talking about, right? Like, it's gotten so bad now that
you can't even find what you wanted to scroll to.
You have the endless scroll feature, but now social media apps also have features to tell you, hey, you've been scrolling for a long time, buddy. Do you want to chill out for a bit? Like, that's wild. Could you imagine being at a casino and your slot machine going, you should probably stand up?
My Switch said after 36 hours, it was like, do you want to take a break? And I said, no.
I'll tell you when I've had enough.
I didn't hear no bell.
Did you see the video that went viral of the lady at the casino who peed herself at the slot machine?
No, I've seen that in real life, though.
Right?
I used to work at a casino for like 2 years, so...
Yeah, and I guarantee you there are people out there who have been like, either you went to the bathroom and you got stuck on social media and you've been sitting on the toilet for way longer than you needed to because you were stuck scrolling TikTok, or you were scrolling TikTok for so long you now have to go to the bathroom, and like really, really bad because you actually needed to go to the bathroom like 20 videos ago, but you were like, all right, one more video and then I'll get up. It's bad. Our relationship with social media does need to be reconstructed, right?
Yep.
Like, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the word that's gonna fit here. But I don't think a lawsuit...
Litigated?
I don't think of... No, speaking...
Re-examined?
Yes, re-examined. But I don't think litigation is going to solve that. I don't think these state's attorney and these county attorney generals suing these social media firms is going to produce anything the same way all of those action committees taking stances against video games and hip-hop and rock and roll music, just like that didn't produce anything. I know we have, like, you know, the data from Facebook's own internal investigations on the harmfulness of apps like Instagram to, like, you know, specifically young female, young girl youth and things like that, and the effect of fucking turds like Andrew Tate on the male population can't be ignored either, when, you know, anybody is allowed to just post anything on the internet. But
if we're going to be talking about toxic turds on the internet, I have a title shift for you after this break.
You take a sound, any sound, record it, and then change its nature by a multiplicity of operations. You record it at different speeds, you play it backwards, you add it to itself over and over again. You adjust filters, echoes, acoustic qualities, you combine segments of magnetic tape. By these means and many others, you can create sounds which no one has ever heard before.
who wears shorts? Welcome back.
Peter wears shorts.
Oh, ew. That made me uncomfortable.
I have a title shift.
What the fuck?
Did you have to make me uncomfortable before we did it?
Yes, considering the title shift is swapping you.
I will not swap with you. No, I will not.
It is swapping you with Devin Cannon, resident of Philadelphia, PA, and president and CEO, Community Career Builders, LLC, has been charged with cyberbullying and harassment against women of color, single mothers, and anyone he dislikes.
Oh, fuck.
Devin Cannon should be muted and held accountable for his social media platforms as a weapon to attack, bully, and threaten many consistently. On his YouTube channel, his aliases are Grown Folks TV, Grown Folks 2.0, Young Folks TV, and ZX1400.
What kind of stuff do you think he posts on ZX1400? Do you think that's his gaming channel?
Recently, he has increased his attacks, slander, and disrespect towards women who are single parents and women who he deems to be, quote, all caps, dirty hookers. Devin Cannon has doxed many subscribers.
God.
Is it spelled the way Devin spells?
And threatened to expose them by sending women nude pics that were sent to him in confidence.
So now so he also threatens to post revenge porn on top of all of this shit.
That is illegal and predatory. Devin Cannon has harassed, diminished, maligned, threatened, targeted several women channel owners. Devin Cannon has promoted false propaganda against female entrepreneurs by contacting Better Business Bureau and encouraging Devin Cannon subscribers to do the same with bogus claims.
Yo, I did not read this far into
Devin
the
Cannon
GoFundMe.
attempted to ruin businesses by false claims, and even after finding his claims to be fraudulent, he continued to spread lies.
Yo, this dude is a menace, and I have no idea why you keep saying his name like that, but it's absolutely wild that this guy has been given a platform to do all of these heinous things.
Devin Cannon uses his platforms to make money. He can use YouTube, PayPal, Cash App, Instagram to make money with promises to use the donations to help his community.
Oh, to help his with promises.
However, that hasn't happened.
However,
Devin Cannon's vicious attacks daily towards many women has had horrendous
this is disgusting.
impacts.
This guy
Devin
needs to
Cannon
be stopped.
should not be allowed to use social media
No,
as a
he
weapon
shouldn't.
of war or to terrorize women he dislikes.
Absolutely
He should not be allowed to make profit off of others' pain. Devin Cannon is the president and CEO of Community Career Builders, LLC. Devin Cannon alleges that Devin Cannon's business is to help his community. Devin Cannon alleges that he is a pillar of his community. Devin Cannon receives donations, tax breaks, grants for his businesses, yet his actions online is unprofessional, questionable, and a contradiction to who Devin Cannon claims to be.
This is
Devin
disgusting.
Cannon needs to be held accountable.
Yes, he does.
Recently,
Yes.
Devin Cannon
Yes,
made
he
fun
does.
of suicide and single mothers.
Ooh.
Devin Cannon has disrespected the dead
Good
by
God.
saying Devin Cannon would skull fuck dead mothers.
No, he didn't.
must be stopped.
No, he didn't.
Quote,
Stop.
quote, all caps, skull fuck dead mother.
Stop.
If you agree that enough is enough and Devin Cannon needs to be muted and held accountable by removing his channel, sign the petition below.
Yo.
The comments.
I did not read. No, hold on, wait. Let that simmer for a minute. First of all, I once again want to reiterate that I have no idea why you said that name with such vigor in your chest, right? That part.
Because I wanted to draw attention to this petition.
To this particular petition, that I sent you
That
for
makes Devin Cannon
absolutely no reason that has anything to do with anything other than the fact that it's wild that this guy is allowed to exist as
With
a
a
platform of his pillar and community. Because I don't know who this Devin Cannon person is, but this Change.org petition is
It was
absolutely
started by
wild.
Women United.
Oh, so a foundation, huh? An organization has teamed up. That's great.
Devin Cannon is a monstrous person! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. He bullies people for having mental health diagnoses and those who have struggled with thoughts of suicide.
Jeez, this guy. Wow, he sounds like one of those Alpha Pod bros, right?
Devin Cannon is a predator. He has doxed women, sends some women's revenge porn. He attacks women with children. Please take him down from YouTube.
Jeez.
You gotta look up this dude on YouTube.
Devin Cannon
No, we
anally
don't.
raped
I'm trying
George
to
E.
figure out
Booker,
if
also known as Uncle
Holy
Sug on YouTube.
Shut
His
up.
anus is torn open and he admitted what?
What? Hold on.
Why did we
Hold
do
on.
that?
Wait, because you're not gonna have me laughing at sexual assault. Was that a real comment just
Yeah,
now?
2 years ago.
That was a real comment? He anally raped somebody?
He didn't spell Devin Cannon's name correctly, but
Once again, I don't know why you keep saying his name like that, but I do know that is something I would never personally do. And I should probably say that a little bit less sarcastically. Continue considering some of the allegations that this fucking Devin Cannon has been accused of. Making fun of suicide victims. This guy definitely sounds like he voted for Trump. One. It definitely sounds like he believes there is a war on free speech.
probably a fan of Kevin Samuels.
Oh, absolutely. Grown folk TV. Listen, we do grown folk talk here. If you can't handle it, then maybe you need to take your baby ass back to the kid table, right?
So, Doc,
yeah.
the title shift is, what would you do if you were in Devin Cannon's shoes?
Personally, it sounds like Devin Cannon should probably get off of the internet, right? It sounds like that was probably the origin story to his villain arc when...
For Devin Cannon's villain arc.
Yeah, when he was broken up with by his high school sweetheart and then found some forum, probably 4chan, right?
Slash me?
It was like radicalized.
Slash me?
Yeah.
You think Devin Cannon was a B-tard?
I'm saying this particular Devin Cannon, right? Like this guy that we are speaking of here in this Change.org petition, who has absolutely no relation to anybody else on this podcast whatsoever, right? Like
That is actually a fact.
and I have no idea why anybody would draw any other conclusion as to otherwise, right? Because the flood with Doc and Ziggy does not condone any of the things that this guy, Devin Cannon, has been accused of.
Actually, we've been we've been talking about picking a fight with an alpha pod for some time now.
It's not,
And I feel like we found the alpha pod to pick a fight with.
It's not that I want to pick a fight with the alpha pod, right? It's just I
Identity
feel like
theft?
alpha pods think they exist in the space where nobody checks them and to round everything back, here's what I believe is the real issue. Controversy sells. It's not often that somebody who is promoting a healthy mindset, somebody who is promoting like growth tips and self-help tips, right, that aren't I'll get you a Bugatti and bitches, right, goes viral. You know what does go viral? The guys checking girls on like their bullshit social media standards, right? Like 6 figures, a 6-pack, and he's got to have and be over 6 foot, right?
Yeah,
like that's
the 6 figures, 6 foot,
6-pack thing.
6-pack.
Yes,
7
right.
plus.
So we have this. We have created this climate where you need to be controversial in order to go viral, right? Like what goes viral is stupidity. What goes viral is hot takes, right?
One of us needs to say some dumbass shit right now. And I got nothing.
Well, what I'm about to say, some people might say is dumb, but I don't think it's social media's fault that the kids are rotting their brains. I think it's our fault. It's our fault that the kids are rotting their brains on social media because we don't give them anything to do. You know why Mizzy gets to just walk up in people's houses? It's because like there's nothing for the youth to do because we constantly take away creative programs like cultural arts and theater and music from the kids. So all they do is sit online with fucking disgruntled 30-year-olds and talk shit to
about why
adults
there's no Ape Escape 3
over COD lobbies and Fortnite lobbies, and they endlessly scroll TikTok and Tinder, and they feel rejected at the end of the day because what they really want is IRL human interaction, but we, you know, also created and fostered a society that is more productive virtually than it is IRL, right? And that's not to say that people shouldn't be allowed to work from home, because I totally feel like people should be allowed to work from home and office buildings should be turned into affordable housing, but that's besides the point. What we're actually talking about right now is the effect of social media on people's mental health and mind state, and I don't think it's social media, I think it's us. I think it's us. Hi, we're the problem, it's us, not that terrible Taylor Swift and Ice Spice collaboration, right?
What isn't terrible is getting all of your Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh, board games, card games, and supplies at tokenmtg.com and using the promo code Ziggy to get 10% off of your order. I just wanted to get that out of the way.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's more social media or do you think it's more the culture?
People are dumb.
Okay, that's...
A person can be smart. People are dumb.
What are you saying?
You get a few smart people and a lot of dumb people in one room. The dumb people might just be louder.
So you're saying you think it's too many dumb people for us to be able to have nice things like social media?
I'm not saying that.
In all honesty, I think at this point, it is imperative for us to begin to, like, I think media literacy should be a required course in school. And I think it should be as early as middle school, like right along with sex ed. Like once the kids start to hit puberty and they can get cell phones, the minute like they can, like, you can no longer argue with a child about having a cell phone in their hands, they should be being taught media literacy.
Yeah.
They should be being taught how to, like, detect AI imagery, how to detect clickbait articles, how to detect, like, something
reading
that's
between the
scripted,
lines.
reading between the lines, when to know what too much screen time looks like, how to detect a photoshopped image.
Which articles are worth reading?
Not even just which articles are worth reading, right? Because, like, that's the kids aren't reading articles.
Identifying outlets that are putting out certain articles.
I was gonna say kids aren't reading articles, right? Like they're watching streamers, they're watching influencers, right? Like, so they need to be taught how to recognize the tactics that influencers will use to try and manipulate and influence you, right? Like they need to be taught about the endless scroll feature and what
written articles are still going to be there because it's going to increase scroll rate.
They need to be taught what a healthy relationship with social media looks like from an early age, or fucking stop giving your kids cell phones, god damn it.
And I'm the media major here.
There's dumb phones. The dumb phones do exist. If your kid
And they're
has
damn near unbreakable. All Nokia.
if your kid has to have a piece of like mobile communication technology, you can get them something that doesn't give them
buttons.
access to the fucking internet, right? And they can bitch and whine all they want. But guess what? That's what kids do. They bitch and they whine because they don't have that much autonomy. They should have a little bit more autonomy than what you guys are currently giving them, like especially like with the outrage that's going on with this whole Target thing. But like, and that's a hot take to lead into the whole Target thing. But no, yeah, stop blaming technology and fucking hold some accountability. Like, we always want to be like, oh, it's AI's fault. It's not social media's fault. It's the government's fault. It's your parents' fault. Like, it's the government's fault because the government let social media do the things that it's doing, and your parents are the ones who didn't bother to take the time to teach you what was a healthy relationship with the fucking computer.
Which is why you should take the initiative to learn about the systems around you.
No, I can tell you as a fucking parent, like, it's a daily battle, dude. Like, I go through it all the fucking time with my son, and
I'm just subtweeting like fuck.
Nah, I have to be like, no, dude, enough is enough. Like, I get it, I understand, I've been there. I endlessly scroll sometimes too, but this is me telling you it's time to get up and get away from it for a second. Right? Like, and people are afraid to have that confrontation with their kids right now because they feel just as guilty doing it.
It's
like,
one of those things like, well, what? You still do it? And it's like, yeah, but I stopped right now.
No, it's one of those things like, how do you tell your kid to stop scrolling TikTok when you've been binge watching 90 Day Fiancé for the last 4 hours? Or The Bachelor?
Are you cleaning while you're doing it? It's a legitimate question.
No.
If you're just sitting on the couch watching 90 Day Fiancé, that looks very different than you like vacuuming and watching 90 Day Fiancé.
I mean, but that's the whole issue, dude.
And then if you add in the other variable of where's the glass of wine, it can get from like really depressing to like kind of industrious and bold.
Speaking of really depressing and also industrious and bold, meteorologists have been coming under fire lately at the ire of some conspiracy theorists. On top of all of the trans hatred, which I promise we're going to get to in a minute, meteorologists are also facing some of the heat from a lot of these extremists and are being targeted online with all kinds of like hate speech and death threats. And I just think that is absolutely wacky. Can you imagine people? Can you imagine just reporting the forecast for the day and then fucking like all in your mentions is people?
Fuck you! It's not gonna rain.
You just wait for Judgment Day, bitch.
Starts raining. Fuck you! Why'd you say it was gonna rain?
You did this Snow. Like, this is literally happening in like Spain and all, specifically in Spain. People are upset about chemtrails again, and they're blaming meteorologists and climate scientists for no rain in Spain and for the droughts in Spain that have been happening and just all over the place. Climate scientists are taking the brunt of a lot of the blame for the effects of climate change that they've been trying to warn people about. And the further push against institutions and the further reduction and disintegration of truth and just common understanding. I think the story is nuts. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's like the fucking Alex Jones crowd that targeted the Sandy Hook parents.
God, that was always one of the like dumbest hills to die on. Like,
and now they've
like,
moved on.
Why are you trying to? Oh my
Now they've moved on to meteorologists, and a lot of meteorologists think that, you know, a lot of these people have been emboldened.
If Alex Jones,
by the
conspiracy
lockdown.
theorists, had it right, a lot of character actors' careers was cut short.
What was cut short was Target's Pride Month run. I told you we were going to get to it. Target has gone viral once again with their Pride Month run, and this time it is not for rainbow signaling. No, well, kind of, but not in the way that we previously talked about, right? It is not the queer community that is upset over the clear cash grab.
Have you ever seen Demetri Martin stand up?
Sorry, I just had to...
This is relevant.
I had to stop myself from making a joke just now. What's more clear than their sexuality is Target's attempt to grab cash. Anyway...
Have you ever seen Demetri Martin stand up?
I've seen Demetri Martin. I don't know which stand-up you're referring to.
So he has this one joke. He's like, I want to buy a shirt with rainbows.
I'm in a weird situation because I like rainbows, but I'm not gay. So I wear a rainbow on my shirt, but then under it I gotta put not gay. But I'm not against gay people, so then under that I gotta put but supportive. I just think it's weird that one group took refracted light. It's pretty greedy, gays.
Well, apparently you can't be supportive of gay people, especially if you're a child, or else you're a groomer or a victim of a groomer, according to a lot of people who are going trending on guess what? TikTok. Not just TikTok, but all social media, right? Several different videos have gone viral recently. Ones of right-wing conservatives knocking down mannequins like children, and
Honestly,
an
one of the
attempt
things
to show
that
their displeasure with the Pride Month merchandise.
I just want to see someone just start acting aggressively straight.
They have straight pride parades, but there were all...
What is it, like Margot Robbie and fucking Ryan Gosling walking hand in hand down Fifth Avenue? Like...
There was also a video that went viral of a woman who was claiming that Target was trying to sell tuck-friendly and bind-friendly swimsuits for children. Although reports have since come out that the swimsuits that were listed as extra small were not sold in the kids section. She was also seen holding up cards and I think journals that said things along the lines of, I'm glad you came out and I'm happy you're queer, because, you know, supporting gay people in any way, shape, or form, especially if you're a child, is absolutely unacceptable. Like, it's fine that they exist, but we're not allowed to support them whatsoever. Especially if you're a child. If you have a child that supports gay people, you are grooming them to be gay, and you're a pervert. Just so you know.
I have a gay brother, so...
You're a groomer.
Yeah,
By nature, you're a groomer. By association. Especially if you buy anything that supports LGBT community.
The only fast food
For
place
your
you're allowed
kids.
to eat is Chick-fil-A.
If you buy anything that supports the LGBT community for your kids, or you have kids that maybe identify as LGBTQ because, you know, you believe that those kinds of things start when you're, you know, a child, and you don't just decide that when you're an adult. You don't become 18 and go, you know what, I like dick now. That's, you know, if you're one of those people who believes that that's the way that those things go, then if you buy something that has a rainbow on it for a child, you are grooming Target, and you should be ashamed of yourselves, you fucking perverted, nasty, nasty corporation. How dare you?
The old Denver Nuggets jerseys were basically rainbow. By the way, the Denver Nuggets are now in the NBA Finals.
Don't you know that the NBA is one of the biggest groomers in the industry? Right there with the WWE and all of those buff-ass naked men that they have running around. That's not gay. That's not gay at all, right? To the fucking conservatives love wrestling, dog, don't you? As a matter of fact, they get upset that, like, the divas have so much control. Like, they miss it when the divas were just, like, eye candy. Like, they can't handle women actually, like, winning belts and stuff like that. They're like...
putting on legitimately good matches and playing, you know, the heel fantastically. And nope, they have to have a man-woman tag team match for their legitimization.
You know what's fine? What's wild to me? They were completely fine with Goldust and all of his queer, like, all of his queer glory. This nigga was queer as fuck. Would come out in the wig. It would be all, like, weird and, like, sexual with people and uncomfortable.
Mick Foley wore leather.
No, dude, I don't think you remember, like, how, like, awkward Goldust was, dude. But, like, that was perfectly fine. But, oh my god.
Well, also, Mick Foley wearing leather.
You put on a fucking wig and lipstick and you try to read a fucking children's book to my kid, I swear to God, I will burn this elementary school down. Don't you dare.
No, you, personally, for me, would have some questions.
No, but Devin Cannon of Grown Folk TV would definitely have some questions.
Devin Cannon would try to cancel me.
I think that trying to cancel Target for the Pride merchandise that it has been producing for years now is absolutely ridiculous, but the issue is, I don't know, it seems to be working. That Target has announced that they will be removing a lot of their entrance displays in some of their southern locations in an effort to protect their employees from the harassment and like threats of violence that they've been facing.
Cough, cough, their bottom line, cough, cough.
No, well, also, I feel like, yeah, these people are going in the stores and they're not getting
the employees. Yes, but it is also, it's a nice PR spin for protecting their bottom line. Because, yes, it does also do that.
But, like, remember how they were acting about, like, Antifa and how disruptive Antifa was being? See, this is what I mean when I say this is all part of the playbook, where they project so then they can, like, mobilize and do the thing, right? They said they accused the left of doing it, so they can then turn around and do it and go, oh, well, this is what you guys would do. Y'all would boycott anyway, right? And here's what pisses me off about the current political spectrum. The right has much more conviction. Yeah, no, there's a huge left-wing and progressive movement that is brewing in this country that should not be ignored, but it is being pushed down as far as media coverage is being concerned, right? And what worries me about the right is their conviction to mobilize for their causes, right? There's a lot of, even though there's a lot of infighting going on in the right wing, they know how to keep that shit, like, in-house. The left wing cannot mobilize because of the infighting, right? So we can't make any ground or any movement, and every time we talk about boycotting shit, it doesn't make a difference because we don't actually boycott things, whereas these Karens are willing to make enough noise and are willing and have the time to fucking, like, annoy these companies until something is done about it.
So, I was actually just thinking, so with the writer's strike going on, the Director and Actors Guild coming up, probably going to fall in line with the writers, at what point do these, like, Hollywood labor strikes basically continue to cause a chain reaction to where blue-collar America gives a fuck about it?
Well, it's blue-collar America started it, right? It's not just the Writers Guild.
But the funny thing is, a lot of blue-collar America is saying more or less, you know, fuck the writers, we have AI. They make nothing but trash anyway.
That is the, like, counter-operative that has been pushed on, like, the creatives, right? Because, like I said, they have been trying to push against, like, creative careers and creative mindsets for a while, right? That's why, like I said, they got rid of like music and theater and art programs in school, right? It is the expression and understanding of emotion is useless in a world where all you are supposed to do is produce. And now that we have a system that could potentially automate that production of creativity, we don't need those kinds of like
oxymoron right there. Automated creativity.
That's the irony of this whole thing, right? Like, that's the irony of this whole argument. The right wing has convinced themselves that they have found a way to automate social movements, right? Like, it through like social engineering, which their handlers have done a good job at producing. Dude, like, Fox News has absolutely perfected propaganda.
Oh yeah.
In a way that they have.
It's scary.
They're literally telegraphing their game plan, right? And they are projecting. We are now seeing them do things that they were afraid the left was going to do, and they are pushing.
Then saying you would do it anyway.
Right. And continuing to push their lifestyle and their choices upon us and suggest that anything other than is perverse.
Yep.
Right? And it's wild to me how quickly these corporations are willing to cave to them, but then will tell the progressive community to fuck off. You want to know what would keep these kids off the internet? Giving their parents a livable wage that allows them to spend time with their children.
It's almost like there's a ripple effect or a macro perspective to
You know what Target's not going to do? Pay their workers a livable wage. And Target's one of the better corporations to work for. Actually.
I actually did have a shower thought earlier today. You know how we're like, fuck the corporations?
Yeah. All day, every day.
Google is a useful tool.
But fuck Google too.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, fuck Google, but at the same time...
Google's not even useful anymore. Like, Google is, like... has also, like, caved and, like, catered to the corporate overlords. Right? It's a bunch of, like, ad factory shit like, now, too. You know, you're better off using Bing at this point, and that's real. Like, if you really want to, like, search for shit on the internet, don't fucking use Google. You'll get ads and promoted content for, like, the first 3 fucking pages. Are you serious? Like...
Okay, maybe Google is a bad example. Like
I'm sorry.
Do you have a brand of clothes that you like? Adidas, Nike.
So that's the other thing too. Like, oh god, don't get me started on like fast fashion brands and stuff like that. I've been looking at Shein and like all of the child labor that they use and all that shit, and it's just like, yeah, no, I don't have a brand that I like, pick specifically.
Like, fuck Wizards of the Coast, but you still do make Magic.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like pieces and I like Champion clothes, right? Like, I do like Champion brand stuff. If I had to pick a clothing brand out of Nike, Adidas, and all of them, right? Like, that's where I'm landing at. I don't know what that says about me, but I also feel
fuck
like
these corporations, but at the same time, some of these corporations do have a product that is very useful.
I don't feel like it's entirely empty-handed for Target to do this, like, pandering, right? Where it's like, yeah, the rainbow marketing, Black History marketing, and stuff like that. I don't think that is entirely empty-handed. As other people have pointed out, during Pride Month, it is very beneficial and influential to the Pride community to see, especially when it comes to local businesses, who is supportive to their community. That Pride flag out front of your business is not just like an empty-handed gesture in a lot of cases, right? Yeah. Because there are a lot of bars that you can go to in the South and get fucked up if you're seen holding hands with somebody of the same sex, or just or at the light is potentially get harassed out of the bar, and nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Right?
I did when I was watching Cheers a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, actually. It was before my One Piece bender. There was a whole episode about them trying to figure out who some gay guys in the bar were, because they wanted to kick them out of the bar. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely a fucking show made in the 80s. But, of course, the cliffhanger twist of it was the two gay guys in the bar were in the crowd of trying to convince everybody else that these new people were gay. And they weren't. It was the two people that were in the bar regularly. And then they turn and they kiss, what's his name? Norm on the cheek at the same time.
But to bring that through with a modern perspective, right? Like let's take Always Sunny in Philadelphia. How many seasons was Mac making like very like homoerotic suggestions and
now
stuff
he's
like
just actually gay.
Openly gay? It reminded me of the dude you were talking about earlier, the guy who was found out to have a grinder or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the guy who was knocking down fucking mannequins in Target, talking about how they were trying to push the gay agenda on people.
And he
had a
actually has
fucking
a Grindr.
grinder account. Had a fucking grinder account, dude. And I guarantee you that mom, who was in there complaining about the fucking bathing suits for kids that teach kids how to tuck, has licked the cooch in her fucking lifetime. Like, get the fuck out of here, yo. It's always these fucking weirdos who want everybody else to stop what they're doing and be mad about what they're mad about for like 2 seconds. And that's the issue with the fucking internet, is the people who are prolifically on the internet are the kinds of unhinged people who have nothing better to do with their time most of the fucking time than be on the goddamn internet.
Or you can check us out every weekend where we spend a lot of the time on the goddamn internet but have enough media literacy to break it down and make the mainstream make sense.
And
for
try to
y'all.
oil the fucking hinges, right? So shit doesn't squeak every time you open the door and we all go fucking crazy.
Like the chair
as
that we used to record in.
endlessly fucking scroll. Fuck that chair. I still have that chair. I want to get rid of it. It's a piece of shit. Social media, however, it doesn't have to be as big of a piece of shit as
If we get
make it.
Devin Cannon off of it.
And we get these fucking extremist Republican weirdos off of fucking TikTok, right? It's so wild to me how they are constantly talking about how the internet is ruining America, but they are the ones like on the internet ruining the internet. And on that note, we're gonna take a break and then come back with the last bit of our show for the evening.
Beep bop ba da ba boop.
And we're back. And speaking of back, we're bringing back
Again.
a topic that we have touched on before in an update. Pear, the world's largest social experiment, has not quit, and they want you to know that they can't stop, they won't stop, and they are now throwing their hat in the ring of fire festivals. Not in an attempt to repeat Fire Festival, but
They're going for FIRE Festival, not FYRE Festival.
they are feeling a bit cheeky, as one might say, and one might say that because as of this week, it has been announced that coming in July, Pear, the dating experiment for singles, will be hosting the world's largest festival for singles only. That's right, the world's largest singles only event this summer in London.
It's actually only
hosted by
world's
the people.
largest if enough singles show up. They're branding it that way because of the production budget that they put into this.
Hosted by the people who want singles to wear a ring to let everybody know that they're single. And apparently the ring is selling out.
Is it the admission ticket?
It is not the admission ticket, but you cannot get a ticket unless you have already purchased the ring. So you will need a ring in order to get a ticket. But the price of the tickets and the actual date of the festival have not been announced yet. But
This raises my skepticism.
they're claiming
Where's Ja?
they're claiming that they sold out of the first run of rings, so apparently people are participating in this app. I haven't seen anybody wearing a pear ring,
Well,
but
this
I'm
is also
also
in London, right?
I'm also not looking for anybody wearing a pear ring.
But like you said, this is in London?
Well, the festival is supposedly happening in London. Have you run into anybody wearing a pear ring yet?
No.
No?
I haven't.
No? So I'm wondering, I'm keeping my eye on this because it just seems like...
Should I order one for science?
You ran for political offense for the lulz. I don't see how buying a pear ring could be a bad idea for you, right?
Fuck it, I'll buy one.
Especially because you're the single one out of us.
I'll buy it, whatever.
Right?
How much is it? $7?
No, it's not $7. It's actually $25.
Oh my god. For the ring?
Yeah. Well, it's $19 and then shipping and handling.
God damn it. Sign up for our Patreon, people.
And
Content.
And they claim they sold out, right? So you should be able to find somebody with this ring, right? That's why I'm interested to see where this goes because people are really complaining about
what's the whole social theory? Like once you mention something, you start recognizing it more often.
Well,
I always associate it with Chrysler Seabrings because there was this one summer where a DC 101 DJ was just like, so my friend brought a Chrysler Sebring, and now all I see are Chrysler Sebrings, and I just imagine myself pulling a harpoon gun out and shooting out every Chrysler Sebring I see.
For the sake of all of our listeners, right? Like everybody who has been trucking through this with us, I feel like it is in your duty to buy a pear ring, and maybe we can crowdfund you a trip
to go to London? You know I'd have to get a passport, right? That would be by far...
Hold on. Are you telling me you don't have a passport?
Do you know how little I have traveled?
You get on this podcast...
How far west have I gone?
You get on this podcast every Sunday and you tell stories to convince people that you are this well-traveled person and you do not have
I am this
fucking
cultured person.
Passport. Don't have a fucking
Take a guess how west I've gone.
Ohio.
That's actually accurate. Columbus for 2007 Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals.
That's what's up. I've been further west than you. That's great.
And then nowhere from Ohio until Pennsylvania. I have literally never left the East Coast with the exception of 2007 Yu-Gi-Oh! Nationals. I've been all up and down the East Coast.
But you've never left.
But I've never left the East Coast.
That's wild. What else is wild is the fact that the pear company seems to think that they are really going to be able to get a bunch of singles to come together when the
singles and cheaters. And swingers.
Gen Z has a problem talking to each other IRL anyway. I would love to see how the numbers for this...
Yeah, I know, it's great. I have, basic social interaction skills, and I come off like the charmer Maximo Count of Monte Cristo Supreme.
Mm-hmm. You heard him, ladies. That was smooth like butter, wasn't it?
Smooth like cream cheese.
That was maximum level Riz just now that you were witnessing. And I
but no, here's the funny thing. My clumsiness and acknowledging it and then being able to talk openly and honestly about it almost gives it myself a meta charm.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you talk over people to compensate for your clumsiness.
Right. It's a great technique that I've worked on therapy.
So when we send you to Pearfest 2023, I need you to really oil that out and iron it out because listen, you're gonna have to work your top Riz while you're out there, man. This is the ultimate singles event.
I have to ask you a question. So I am a reasonably attractive, very tall, skinny white man from America. How little do I actually have to talk?
So Okay, you're asking me how little do you have to talk and not to validate that you are an attractive, tall, skinny white man.
Well, no, that's a fact. More or less, I am confident in that belief of myself because, listeners, it is okay to believe positive traits about yourself. You are the awesomest person inside your own body.
Is that positive trait that you don't have to talk in order to attract women? Because I feel like most women would say that that is actually an arrogant trait.
No, I was going to say more along the lines of how much do I talk until I just completely derail my chances, knowing me.
So you're asking for...
I'm thinking like if I'm talking more than 30 seconds in a row.
Yeah, I was gonna say a countdown. You're asking for a countdown. It depends on how coked out she is.
Because we all know I wouldn't be coked out, because my life would be ruined.
I feel like a lot of our listeners are like, excuse me?
I mean, I'm on record saying when I'm on my deathbed, I'm trying heroin. And at that point, why the fuck not?
So, like, a lot of our listeners are like, there's no way he doesn't do coke. There's absolutely no way. I can attest that he has never done coke at this table. What I can tell you is if he did do coke, that it would not be normal. What else is not normal?
But should be normal is... for the second time, buying all of your Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, Flesh and Blood, board games, and card game supplies at tokenmtg.com and using the promo code Ziggy to get 10% off of your order.
And once again, this is your last and final reminder for the episode that you can find us at the Flood Pod on everything, and that is on everything. And you can find us again next week wherever you find podcasts at the same time, same place.
And for all of you people on Pandora who ran out of skips, we hope you enjoyed.
At least a little bit, like one part, like, you know, tweet at us and let us know what part you enjoyed at the Flood Pod on everything. That's
or
on
if you
everything.
just tweet back and say, fuck y'all for being stuck on the algorithm, well, we'll clap back.
I was
worry.
gonna say, yeah, be ready to catch that
We'll clap
smoke,
back.
because I got time. I stay up pretty late. Deuces.
Deuces!
Look, it's a flood. It's flood. It's flooding.
Get away.
Quick, we need to get to higher ground.
Open the floodgates.
Wait, why can't we talk about black